Click below to watch the original Sins video. If you were to direct your attention to the timer at the top right of the screen, you would see that there is an extra colon at the end for some reason. Also, there are small flashes of white next to that extra colon, which makes me think that the editor must have cropped off a millisecond counter. Also, the timer isn't centered over the text below it. Also, the timer is a completely different font from the entire rest of the text. And that was 4 sins just for the timer. I guess I just must be in an extra nitpicky mood today.
This movie finally calls out the Stan Lee cameos, and yet still features a gratuitous Stan Lee cameo.
I mean, this joke wouldn't have worked if the cameo wasn't in the movie.
Okay, this is disfigurement for sure, but it's not like no one could ever love him level disfigurement. It's not like he's Eric Stoltz in Mask. The movie, strange as it is to say out loud, doesn't go far enough in uglying up Wade Wilson.
Good point. If you want to make Ryan Reynolds look ugly, you're gonna have to do a hell of a lot more than this. I'd still fuck him. Plus, if what happened to his face also happened to his dick, then it'd be ripped for my pleasure. I think I kind of lost the plot as to whether or not this was a sin or a sin-off, so I'm just gonna keep the counter the same.
He's got a nice pair of smooth criminals down under.
Making me mentally picture Hugh Jackman's presumably shaved testicles.
Hey, is that really a sin? Come on. Also, +1 sin for me for making 2 extremely homoerotic jokes in quick succession.
I see the director learned a thing or two at the Michael Bay Zack Snyder Symposium for the construction of this scene.
Because apparently Snyder is the only director who's allowed to use slow motion.
Not one of these trailing cars goes around this wrecked SUV and continues about their day, which every American knows at least one of these fuckers would do. Doo-dee-doo, not my problem, I didn't see a thing. Vroom.
As another American, yeah, I can confirm that one of these fucks certainly would have tried this. However, they wouldn't have been able to do much considering that the car is blocking the entire damn road.
Also, is Colossus always in metal form? I knew he had the power to do this, but he decides to be this way even when he's eating cereal?
Considering the fact that this version of Colossus doesn't appear in his non-metal form at all, it feels safe to assume that yes, he is always in this form. Also, I do know that the version from X2 could change between metal and flesh, but that could easily just be an effect of the timeline alterations from Days of Future Past.
Here, our hero uses the 1990s gangster flick method of turning his gun to the side, which everyone knows is bullshit and makes it harder to hit your target.
Come on, dude. This is Deadpool we're talking about here. He would totally do shit like this that would inconvenience him just because he knows it looks cool.
You're probably thinking, my boyfriend said this was a superhero movie, but that guy in the red suit just turned that other guy into a f***ing kebab.
No, actually, I didn't bring my boyfriend to this feature pool.
Wait, so you didn't bring Chris to watch this movie with you? What the hell, man?
Your narration is narrow to the point that maybe only 1% of the entire audience actually even came close to thinking what you just said.
That's probably part of the joke. It's kind of like when YouTubers say something like, fuck you, Mark, because even though it won't mean anything to most of the audience, there's probably at least one person watching named Mark who that line will thoroughly bamboozle. Also, if there do happen to be any Marks watching this video, then please let me know in the comments so I can send you a cookie.
Also, ignoring the fact that Wade was able to figure out that Jeremy would be the one delivering this pizza, this is an insane way to confront it. I mean, why not find out where he lives, or track him down outside the pizza parlor? Instead, he orders a pizza at another guy's apartment, I guess for the comedic value?
Again, going out of his way to do stuff like this just for shits and giggles is completely in character for Wade.
I was molested.
Me too.
Uncle.
Uncles. They took turns.
Vanessa says this as if it's somehow worse than the alternative.
Deadpool takes out Francis like a bitch in the early scenes, but the big final climax thing will have you wondering why Francis is able to hold his own for a 10-minute fight with Deadpool.
Maybe that has something to do with the fact that Wade caught Francis completely off guard here, but in the final battle, Francis intentionally lured Wade into the fight that he specifically set up and had ample time to prepare for.
We both know that cancer is a show.
I'm sorry, I don't get leaving your lover behind to try some experimental cancer treatment and spare her pain. I really don't. This feels like yet another movie where someone does something colossally selfish in some stupid attempt to protect someone they love from emotions, which is impossible, by the way.
Even though I do agree with Jeremy that this certainly wasn't a good idea, it is a very realistic portrayal of how real people act, as well as being very much in character for Wade.
I had a Liam Neeson nightmare. Drop-dead kidnapped his daughter. He made 3 of those movies. At some point you have to wonder if he's just a bad parent.
Wade Wilson would be amazing at CinemaSins.
Actually, considering that in the Taken movies, Brian's daughter was always being kidnapped by terrorists in circumstances that are completely out of his control, so you can't blame that on Brian's parenting. Wade isn't being fair here. So basically, you're right, he would be great at CinemaSins then.
Deadpool intentionally breaks all his hands and feet in fruitless attacks on Colossus, then saws off his hand to escape. My question is, what happens if he falls and splats on the street, instead of lucking out and falling into a moving garbage truck? Doesn't Colossus easily collect him and take him prisoner?
Colossus isn't trying to take Wade prisoner. He's trying to recruit him to the X-Men.
Well, sew your pretty mouth shut.
Har har, reference to that other terrible movie where Ryan Reynolds played Deadpool until he stopped mid-movie in protest.
This sin is apparently trying to call out Ryan Reynolds for seeing a movie that he knew was bad all the way through to the end. But what you seem to be forgetting is that acting is just a job, just like any other. And back then, Ryan wasn't one of the most popular people on the planet like he is now. He probably just wanted to be able to pay rent that week, so he couldn't just up and leave whatever movie he thought was bad.
Well, looks like somebody saw Irreversible, and someone saw Eastern Promises as well.
Now, I haven't seen Irresistible or Eastern Promises because I didn't even know those were movies until I just looked it up, but as I have said time and time again on this channel, vague comparisons between movies are not good sins.
And after rising from the dead and finding himself still alive and Wade does not immediately go to his lady. Instead, he stalks her briefly, then goes to his wisecracking bartender friend.
Again, Wade has attachment issues. Even though he loves Vanessa, doing shit like this is entirely in character for him. Stop sending character flaws. They're important.
You look like Freddy Krueger face topographical map of Utah.
And you sound like the director just let you riff for a few minutes and somehow picked the worst riff of the bunch.
Come on, dude. This is TJ Miller. This might have actually been the best he could have come up with.
Looks on everything.
Looks are everything.
Deadpool teaches millions of teenagers the wrong lesson.
Wade is supposed to be wrong here. Just because a character says or does something, that doesn't mean the movie itself endorses it. Or what, do you sin it every time a villain does something villainous?
Have fun at your midnight showing of Blade 2.
Extremely self-aware movie misses the opportunity to reference Blade Trinity, which is the part of the series Ryan Reynolds was in. Also, come on, Stan Lee didn't even create Deadpool, but I always forget that Marvel movies are contractually obligated to fanboy whenever possible.
Stan Lee's cameos are not a sin.
Also, these two X-Men were literally trying to arrest and detain Deadpool the last time we saw them. Now, because someone kidnapped his girl, so he says they're his instant allies.
Where the hell did you get the idea that they were trying to arrest him? As I said earlier, they were trying to recruit him. So once he stopped killing people and came to them for help, of course they were gonna say yes.
We only ever saw this chick while Wade was strapped to a torture table. Now she's going haywire on Colossus, who broke Deadpool's bones just by taking a punch.
Because characters are, in fact, allowed to have powers without that power needing to be previously established. It's not like this contradicts anything.
Seriously, she takes like 5 repeated kidney shots from an all-metal dude and feels nothing. She's basically Superman in this movie. Female Superman with a match-in-my-mouth fetish.
Yeah, I guess she is. What exactly is your problem with that? Superheroes can have super strength and super durability. That's allowed.
How good-hearted is Colossus? He's saving even the chick he spent the last 10 minutes fighting. What a guy! Stupid, but kind.
And those are realistic traits for a person to have.
It's a face I'd be happy to sit on.
Bonus points to the movie for simultaneously grossing me out and turning me on. I shall call it the vomit boner.
Jeremy needs to learn that his kinks do not count as sins. So this video contains a bonus round of Jeremy going back and taking sins off for good meta jokes. And that's a great idea. I also love whenever sins are removed. It brings a nice level of positivity to the video. However, in this specific instance, it does feel kind of odd that so many of the jokes that get praised in the bonus rounds were also stuff that was sinned in the main portion of the video. There's something pretty contradictory about that. So I'm going to do my own bonus round on top of Jeremy's bonus round and sin each instance of that. Let's go!
Whose balls did I have to fondle to get my very own movie? I can't tell you, but it does rhyme with pulverine. Happy house. It's funny that I only ever see 2 of you.